Hi, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Numbers. My name is Dave Bookbinder, and welcome to the show where we go beyond the data to explore the people, the stories, and all of the insights that really drive business success. Thanks for joining us today. Today, among other things, we're going to be talking about how to use LinkedIn to grow your sales. And I'm pleased to do that with Colin Hirdman, who's the co-founder of a couple of businesses. He's got Monkey Island Ventures, Rainmaker, and Wrappt under his belt. Colin, welcome to Behind the Numbers.
Thanks so much, Dave. I'm excited to be here and look forward to our convo.
Yeah, me too, because I get pitched all the time on LinkedIn, but we're going to get into that. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Tell the audience a little bit more about you besides what I just shared in the intro.
Yeah. Well, born and raised here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And I've been an entrepreneur really my entire life, kind of fell into that. And, just at a high level, more than anything, I'm just really, really passionate about, entrepreneurship, builders. The world needs more entrepreneurs. We need more, people that are kind of taking, the bull by the horns and creating amazing businesses. And that's why I love doing these kind of talks.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And we're going to talk about your entrepreneurial experiences later on in the program here. But I'm excited to talk to you about what I just mentioned in the opening about using LinkedIn to grow sales, because that's something that I try to do. And I know that I get pitched by people who reach out and make connections with me. And then 10 seconds later, they're flooding my inbox with things that I have absolutely zero interest in. So I've seen a lot of ways to do it the wrong way. Talk to us a little bit about how to conceptually do it the right way.
Yeah, for sure. So, I had been doing Rainmaker the process of Rainmaker for about 5 or 6 years for my own companies, right? So some of our service-based businesses and some of our products. And about a year and a half ago, I went to my business partners and said, I think I could create a real business out of my LinkedIn software and process that I built out. And they said, all right, go for it. So hence Rainmaker was born. And, Rainmaker really ultimately is a way of using LinkedIn that is focused primarily on building out more first degree connections and then interacting and building relationship with those first degree connections through a few different tactics that I'll get into. But I am not focused at all on LinkedIn posts, likes, comments, like that whole organic side of LinkedIn. We're not going to spend 1 second on that today. And I think that'll be refreshing, for your listeners. And I think they'll be able to put into practice what we'll be talking about today immediately. So I can get into kind of the three phases or kind of the three levels, I should say, of LinkedIn and how I think about it. But maybe I'll pause right there and just see if you had any other thoughts or questions before I jump into that.
Yeah, I like that. And we're definitely going to explore what you just discussed there. But refreshing to talk about the actual connection aspect of it and how important that component is. And there's right ways and wrong ways to do it. And I definitely would like you to share with us, first of all, why does it matter to grow your network? I mean, obviously there's the glamour stats, right, of having more. And I think LinkedIn still today requires or recommends that you have at least 500 connections for anything that you do or share, and which we're not going to talk about. But just to get that out of the way, that if you don't have the 500, then you basically are invisible.
Yeah. So, with the way that I look at the 500 is more of a kind of a litmus test from your prospect's point of view on, have you spent enough time on LinkedIn? And are you networked enough? Do you have at least those 500 connections that LinkedIn will show? If you have underneath that 500, it really does kind of damage the way that people view you. They just don't take you as seriously. So I would highly encourage everyone listening, if you don't have that 500, to really level up and get those 500 first degree connections. And so the main value of having those first degree connections and continuing to grow it week in and week out is it allows you to dip into an ever growing pool of prospects that you can build relationship with. So, but the three levels that I like talking about, one, the top is philosophy, the middle is audience, and then the bottom is really activating the audience. So I can jump into those three levels now if you want, or if there's any other thoughts or questions, certainly happy to
No, let's do it. Let's start with philosophy.
Yeah, so it's super simple. Number one, you have to be authentic and genuine on LinkedIn. I think most people do a really good job of that. LinkedIn is not a toxic place. And, I think that's really just table stakes. You got to be authentic and genuine for yourself and the brands that you represent. The second thing is you have to approach LinkedIn with an educational mindset because nobody wants to be sold on LinkedIn. Okay, I'll say it again. No one wants to be sold on LinkedIn, but I think virtually everyone's willing to be educated on LinkedIn. And that's where the real opportunity is. And then the third thing is, it's incumbent on us as a founder an owner, or if you sit in the sales and marketing seat, like it's your responsibility to understand the pains and barriers your prospects are trying to overcome. Okay. But once you understand that, you should know what it is that they want to be educated on. And most importantly, what can you teach? What can they learn from you? That's really my whole LinkedIn philosophy. And that's really it. It's being authentic and genuine. It's using an educational mindset, and it's figuring out what your audience can learn from you or what can you teach. Okay. So that's the high level kind of philosophy. So the middle level then is around audience. Okay, this is who you want to connect with. This is who you want to build relationship with. And I'm typically using Sales Navigator to build out these audiences. And about half my clients have Sales Navigator, the other half don't. If they don't have it, I'll just use mine. But the nice thing about Sales Navigator, which is the sales tool that LinkedIn provides, is that you can really start to hone in on the kinds of people that you want to connect with by company size and geo and title and a bunch of other filters that you just don't get with regular LinkedIn search. Okay. And so what you want to do is start honing in on the audience or audiences that you want to start building connection with. And so for me, like a year and a half ago, I started building out like 5 verticals, which were fractionals, founders, EOS implementers, business coaches, and sales executives. Okay. So those are the 5 verticals that I started to target and build out first connections with. Okay. So that's that middle layer then is honing in on the audience. Who do you want to build relationship with? And then the bottom layer is activating that audience. Okay. And the number one thing that you want to do week in and week out is continue to build out more first degree connections, as we already touched on, because there's these activities that we'll talk about in a moment where you want to be able to keep going back to an ever growing audience and do these same activities over and over again. Okay. And so the process, and again, everything that I'm talking about happens in LinkedIn. So you don't need me and you don't need Rainmaker to do anything that we'll talk about today. You could do it all manually. It's just that my process and with some of the automations I have is built to just save time and give some analytics around some of the activities that are happening. But beyond that, people can do all this manually. So we're reaching out to around 100, 125 people a week that we want to connect with. We're not using a connection message. You'll get a higher connection rate if you don't use a connection message in the ways we're talking about. Of course, I was at an event yesterday and met some people there that I reached out to. Yes, of course, when you're meeting people at an event, use a connection message and say, hey, great meeting you last night. Look forward to connecting and staying in touch here on LinkedIn or whatever. That's fine. But in the ways that we're talking about, where you're reaching out to very specific audiences that are your second and third degree connections, don't use a connection message. You'll get a better connection rate back.
That's interesting. That I just want to pause you there because that strikes me as I guess counterintuitive. I'm actually surprised to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because it's really hard to reach out to people in larger numbers like we're talking without it feeling kind of canned or spammy. And that's just what you talked about. You just want to stay away from any feelings of someone being sold to or being taken advantage of by accepting or creating a first degree connection. Okay. And then what we'll do if someone doesn't connect within 30 days, then we'll rescind or withdraw the invite. Then there's a 3-week period of time where you can't re-invite that person to connect. But what it allows us to do is kind of create these pools of people that we could reach back out to at a later date. Okay. So that's the kind of this engine that's running week in and week out, which is building out those first degree connections. And what that allows you to do now that you're building out these first degree connections is that you get these other activities that you can start layering on to that. And as I said, you want to connect it around a 20-ish% connection rate. If you start to drop into the low teens, then you're going to really want to think about creating another list to lean into. Now, there's certain industries that will just naturally connect at a lower rate, like owners of manufacturing companies typically aren't as active on LinkedIn, and they'll connect usually around 12, 13%, which is fine. That's just what you get if you really want to go after that audience. But there's other audiences that will connect above 30%. So it's one of the things that you just really need to experiment with. Okay, so now you have this engine that's running. You're building out new first connections week in and week out. Now you want to start activating those first connections, and the three primary ways we're doing that are through messages, polls, and live streams or events. So with messages, there's two ways that we're using messages. One is a drip campaign that we're sending out to new connections, right? Those new connections, when you get it, the first message you'll send out will be a thanks for connecting message. Send that 1 to 3 days after you connect. Don't sell anything. Don't even try and help. Just authentically thank them for the connection. If there's a response, that'll just go to your inbox, and you can take that conversation off wherever you want. If they don't respond, then you'll want to send a second message 7 to 14 days later, and that's where you really want to start adding value to the relationship. That could be asking a really thoughtful question. That could be sharing an asset that your company has built out, or maybe a third party has built out that you think these prospects would have interest in. It might be inviting them to participate in a LinkedIn poll that you've created, etc. But really what you're doing is you're using that go-giver mindset. You got to get out of that framework of expecting something in return, and you have to just get out of that kind of sales mode that we all naturally are in, wanting to close deals. I get it. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I understand that need and desire, but it doesn't work on LinkedIn. You have to build relationship first, and you need to get at least probably 7 touches over time before they really start to warm up to you and see you as someone they can trust and do business with. So really lean into messages in being very thoughtful and providing high value. One of the other message types then is just discrete one-off message campaigns. So maybe one of the groups you're reaching out to, like I said, are owners of manufacturing companies. Well, maybe you've created a specific asset just for them. And so you want to do a first degree message to all of your first connections that you've built out over X period of time to send them this asset. Okay, so that's how we use messages, in a drip campaign style with new connections, and then one-off message campaigns to specific verticals of your first connections where you can provide high value. The second type then are LinkedIn polls. We use those. And the great thing about LinkedIn polls is it allows you to think about a question. So with manufacturers, maybe you want to pose a question around tariffs, right? How tariffs are affecting manufacturers. That's a big topic right now in the US. And so you could create a poll. You could then invite all your first degree connections that are owners of manufacturing companies to go participate in that poll. And then what that does is it allows them to see a poll that's made just for them, that's highly relevant, that is interesting and compelling, that hopefully they'll participate in. And then when the poll concludes, then you can create a narrative around the results and what you saw, and you could post that as a LinkedIn post, a LinkedIn article. You could post it on your website. You could create a video around it, right? So what you want to do is really kind of dissect the LinkedIn poll results and create a narrative around that to create thoughtful content. And then the last major effort, there's other things that we do besides these three, but these are the three main ones: messages, polls, and the last one are LinkedIn live streams. And that's one of the most powerful B2B tactics that I've ever come across. The beautiful thing about LinkedIn live streams, number one, LinkedIn wants more video, and they will do a lot to help you create awareness around your live streams. But the process around the live streams, and this is what I recommend for all of your listeners, is the number one thing you want to do is think about a topic that you could put out on LinkedIn that you could do over and over again that is of a compelling nature. So what I do is mine that I've been doing for almost a year and a half is learn how to grow your network leads and sales using LinkedIn. Okay, and I have a deck that I built out. I'm doing that same presentation, a couple times a month, if not more, through live streams. And I'm inviting my verticals one at a time, right? So fractionals, founders, sales executives. I'm inviting those one at a time where I create the event. I create it just for that specific vertical, even though the content is essentially exactly the same. But when I'm promoting that event on LinkedIn, when I'm doing it for like the sales executives, they feel like, number one, the topic is interesting, but number two, because I talk about it being made for sales executives, they feel like it was built just for them. Okay, so you can create these live streams across a vertical, across titles, or across industry, where your content is essentially the same. You're just promoting it in a slightly different way. And what that does, it allows you to create a live stream content that you can do over and over again, which reduces your time. You don't have to keep creating new content all the time for LinkedIn. You're honing in on a topic that's evergreen, that your audience will be interested in for a long period of time. And you're hitting these people every, month or a couple of months with an invite to the live stream. So it keeps you top of mind. And with live streams, you're using the LinkedIn event invite function. So you're sending an invite to these people. So it doesn't come in as a direct message, it comes in as an alert. So it's almost impossible to burn your audience out. And what you'll find is you'll get people that are signing up over and over again for these live streams because maybe they couldn't make it previously, or maybe they want a refresher. And so it's a great way to just stay top of mind. And then what I said, LinkedIn does a lot of the heavy lifting. So when someone clicks attend on your event, LinkedIn sends them an email and says, you just registered for the event. Add this to your calendar. As the event gets closer, LinkedIn will send emails to those people about the live stream that you're doing to get them to be reminded and to show up. And LinkedIn will also surface the event to your first connections, even people that you didn't invite, because again, LinkedIn is really leaning heavily into live streams and into video. And the last thing that I'll say about live streams is that when someone clicks attend on your live stream, they've essentially crossed this threshold where now they see you enough as a thought leader and someone that they can trust that they click attend. And they've verified that the content you're putting out is of interest because they're clicking attend. And because of that, after the event is over, you should follow up with all the attendees with a message. And the message I'm typically using is something like, hey, Dave, thanks again for registering for the LinkedIn live stream I led. Here's a link to the recording. And the live stream lives as a recording on that event page forever. And then underneath it, it gives you a chance to give a call to action. And you can have a variety of different ones you can test. For Rainmaker, I like to use, if you ever want to chat LinkedIn strategy, feel free to grab some time convenient for you here. And then I give them my Calendly link. And I'm giving someone my Calendly link in a way that doesn't come across as salesy or spammy or icky in any way, because they have opted into my content. They've opted in to learn from me. And now I'm giving them an opportunity to do a deeper dive through a one-on-one, which in my Rainmaker model, and for a lot of B2B, you don't close deals unless you have a meeting. And so it's a wonderful way of getting people exposed to your business through education, through trust, building relationship, and then getting meetings booked. So I threw a lot of stuff at you right there.
Yep,
but
you sure did.
that's kind of the heart of how I would recommend people use LinkedIn. And the one quick thing is, you'll notice I didn't talk about posts, comments, likes, nothing. All I talked about was honing in on an audience that you want to build relationship with. And all the things that I just talked about were ways of building relationship one-on-one with those people that has nothing to do with really kind of the social side that so many people get caught up in. And I think that's really what you should focus on, are the things that I talked about, because that's what will help drive revenue. I want LinkedIn to be a revenue driver for my business. And everything I just talked about allows me to use LinkedIn just in that way.
Yeah, we're going to get to the automation aspect in a bit here. Don't let me forget about that. But I want to go back to where you talked about the connection piece. Yep. Because I'll use myself as an example, and I've heard this from other colleagues as well, that we get so many inbounds. And you made the distinction that you want to be authentic and not salesy and not pushy. So I'll get a lot of invitations to connect. And I'm generally pretty liberal about accepting them because, as an author and a podcast host, people want to connect. So I assume good intentions. And then I get have you ever considered a franchise? I want to help you with your life insurance. Right. I want to help you grow your podcast. And none of those things are of interest. So how do we think about crafting the message that gets the recipient comfortable and understands that this isn't really just another one of those in disguise?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So that's where you have to really think about your prospect and the pains, the issues that they're going through, right? So another one of my clients is it's a law firm, and they are really leaning into the blockchain industry, and they're connecting with founders of blockchain companies, and so the law firm, one of the messages that they'll send out is, say like, hey Dave, we find ourselves more and more writing about the intersection of law and blockchain, and we're wondering if there's any topics that you'd have interest in us writing about. Well, law and the what's legal and what isn't with the blockchain industry has been a huge pain point for over a decade for all these blockchain founders. They don't know. It's gotten more clear in the last 6 to 9 months, but there's still a lot of fogginess around like what's legal, what isn't, and that's a very pressing issue for them. And so they got lots of responses from these blockchain founders, where when they go and they look at the profile, they can see, okay, this is a real law firm, and I can see that from the way that they position their company through their brand and the articles they've written, that they really are involved in the blockchain industry. I can trust this person. Boy, I would love some clarity on this topic, or what do they think about this potential law that may or may not pass from a legal perspective, right? So they really understood their prospect. So I guess that's, to me, what's most important is, try and understand, what's happening with your prospects within their industry, the pain points they're having, again, like manufacturers and like tariffs. That's a huge issue for them right now. So that's what I would say, is just really start to lean in on being, authentic, and trying to understand the pains and the barriers your prospects are trying to overcome. I mean, everything that you're doing through your messages should be addressing their pains and barriers. Same with the polls, like what kinds of things are top of mind and how they're thinking about things. Same with the live streams, like what issue are you helping them solve through the live stream content that you're creating, right? And most of this stuff is educational in nature.
Yeah. Talk to me about a little bit on the automation aspect of it, because obviously that's making the whole process much more convenient and streamlined. Like you said, it's always working for you.
Mm-hmm.
But how does the LinkedIn algorithm feel about automation tools for doing these types of connections and outreach?
Yeah. So LinkedIn, like, having a relative go into your LinkedIn account and do anything on your account, that LinkedIn doesn't even want that. They want you as an individual doing 100% of everything that you do on LinkedIn. So what we have done is taken automation in a way that is just mimicking the way a human would use LinkedIn. And so really it's saving time, because we are allowing the automation to behave just like a human, but the way that we're doing it is with the things that are incredibly repetition in nature, right? So like reaching out to create a first connection where you're just visiting profiles and pressing connect, sending out messages and knowing who's responded to what message and what messages haven't they responded to, so we know who we need to continue sending messages out to. Like for the live streams, it really simplifies the ability to hone in on a very specific audience and then send invites out to that very specific audience, which would be incredibly laborious if you had to type in every single name one by one. And so that's the automation. Really, it's not using the LinkedIn API. It's just kind of sits on top of the LinkedIn account and is mimicking how a human would use LinkedIn, like scrolling in pages, clicking on links, typing things out. So that's how the automation side works.
Gotcha. Watching the time here, I mentioned at the beginning of the program that we were going to talk about your entrepreneurial journey because you've got an
Sure.
interesting backstory. So why don't you
Yeah.
share that with the audience?
Sure. Yeah. So I started my first company a week after graduating from college with a criminal justice degree that I never used. Never took a business, accounting, or marketing class, and learned it all trial by fire through starting a business. And so that first company I had a little over a decade. I ended up selling that. And then I started Monkey Island Ventures with two buddies of mine, Zach and Josh. We've all known each other since we were about 5 years old. And Monkey Island's named after a park that we used to play at when we were kids, and that's our holding company. So underneath that, we have two service-based businesses, one a digital marketing company and one a software development company. And then we've always have had different types of tech startups on the side that we like to launch and grow. And so um, Josh runs the digital marketing company. Zach runs a software development company. I'm running Rainmaker. And then with Rainmaker, I've created 3 custom GPTs to help people build out LinkedIn messages, LinkedIn polls, and LinkedIn live streams, and it's all free. And when I built those custom GPTs, I was talking to Zach, probably 3 months ago, and I said, I got these custom GPTs built and people are using them. I started building them probably 6 months ago. And he says, we should wrap those in software. And then people could log in and use them, and you could actually see who's using them and how often they're getting used. And so that was kind of the dawning moment of us thinking about building Wrappt. And so people can access these GPTs for free at rainmaker.wrappt, WRAPPT.ai. So rainmaker.wrappt.ai, you just go there, you create a free account, and then you can access my 3 GPTs for free. But that's exactly what Wrappt is. Our latest venture is it allows anybody that builds a custom GPT, they can actually wrap it in software, and then they can see who's using their custom GPTs. They can see how often they're using them. They can build the custom GPTs within it, and there's a forever free model there too, and that's just at Wrappt, WRAPPT.ai. So, but yeah, that's been my kind of entrepreneurial journey, is just continuing to build and just enjoying helping people grow their businesses. I think that's a big passion point for me, is just, I think the world needs more entrepreneurs. We need more creators, and whatever I can do to help those people out, I will do. And I'm an open book. I'm happy to chat with anybody anytime. So people should feel free to reach out to me. And I love that, you give of your time for these kinds of podcasts as well, Dave. I think it's a phenomenal thing that you're doing.
I appreciate that. And back at you. Why is it so important to own your own GPT today?
Yeah, that's a great question. So part of it for me is, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with AI. I think it's an amazing technology. I use it every day. I use it for personal use as well as business. But I also know that the race to AI is going to displace people and businesses, and I don't like that. What I've realized through building out my custom GPTs with Rainmaker is that I know LinkedIn way better than the LLMs. And the process I've built out is a process that works way better than what any LLM will be able to tell you. And so I think that's true for most small, medium-sized, and of course, large businesses. The expertise that we all have, if we take that and we put that into a GPT, and then provide that as an experience that our prospects or our customers can use, we're going to be able to leverage AI in a way better than what AI can do on its own. And for me, there's a mission there, and why I love talking about Wrappt has been, I want more businesses to own their GPTs. I want more businesses to own their IP. I want them to be able to differentiate themselves through using AI in the way that we're talking about here, that helps them protect their businesses from AI taking over, because people naturally are going to try and use AI to solve their problems. Well, if you have, free or paid GPTs that you've built out that do a better job than the AIs, then you have a much better chance of your business using AI as a companion than being replaced.
Well, we could probably do a whole show just on that topic, right?
Agreed.
Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot here because we're just about out of time, but I want you to think back across your entrepreneurial journey, which, as you said, started almost when you were a baby, right? What are some of the things that you learned along the way that you wished you knew up front that maybe you could share with the audience and save them some heartburn?
Yeah. Well, I can say that if you're going to be an entrepreneur and go down that entrepreneurial path, unfortunately, you are going to encounter heartburn no matter what. It's the degree in which you're going to encounter it. And so, I think, one of the first things to think about is, do you want to do it alone or do you want to have business partners? I love building businesses with my business partners and having people that I innately trust. The first business I had, I pretty much was on my own doing that. So I really enjoy having business partners. The second thing is, if you're going to go into business, the purpose of business at its core is to make money, to be profitable. I have probably failed on 70% of the businesses that I've tried and succeeded on 30. The ones where I failed have been more, I would say, kind of discrete offerings that are fairly new and don't have a proven market. And so we would launch it thinking that we would have a solid audience, and we just didn't. And we even would do a decent amount of work leading up to doing a lot of customer discovery, and they didn't work out. It's not fun running a business that doesn't make money. So I would say, don't be afraid of building out a business that is kind of in a red ocean with already proven markets and competitors. It's a good way to just start your entrepreneurial journey. And there's a great article called The Ladders of Wealth Creation by Nathan Barry. That really kind of talks about these 4 ladders and how you get out of working for someone else and can start building out scalable businesses across these 4 ladders. So, and the last thing I'll say is perseverance. I think the number one thing you need to do is just show up and continue to show up. And so it's hard. One of the things I love saying is, everybody's making up everything all the time. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's us talking or whether you're Tim Cook at Apple. Like, we're all just making up and trying to do the best job we can. So if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, jump in, get started, and join the fray. And if you're already doing it, kudos to you. Keep up the good fight. But I would say those are the biggest things.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. A couple of things I'm just going to echo because I hear it all the time that failure really is the key to success in entrepreneurship.
Great.
And it's been said that 80% of success is just showing up. So when you get the invitation to go to those events and you're thinking that's too early, I don't want to get up, I don't want to travel, some of the best successes that I can share are because I just decided I was going to show up. So
agreed.
Really good stuff, Colin. Thank you. Tell the audience how they can find you, connect with you if they want to learn more about you or work with you.
Yeah. So I'm the only Colin Hirdman on the internet. So feel free to just type my name in. I'm on LinkedIn. If you go to, Monkey Island Ventures or, Rainmaker, you'll be able to find me there. Rainmakergrows.com is the Rainmaker site. There's free resources there if you want to learn more about some of what we talked about today. And if you are building a custom GPT and you want to productize and monetize it, Wrappt, WRAPPT.ai is where you could go for that.
Awesome. Colin, thank you so much for joining us today Behind the Numbers. Really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, well, thanks again for all you do, Dave, and thanks so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. And thank you out there for tuning in and listening and supporting the program. Really, really do appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the episode today, please think about leaving us a review. That stuff really does matter. It does move the needle, and it helps more people find the program. Until next time, my name is Dave Bookbinder, reminding you that the numbers do tell the story, but the people are the ones who bring it to life. Take care, everybody.